Hey, Epiphany. Great to see you again. I hope you're doing well, and that your life has gained some sort of pattern and sense of normalcy even in this time of isolation, because you're never really isolated in the kingdom of God. There's always God first anyway, and it gives us a chance to contemplate that primary relationship when we are sequestered, quarantined away, and reach out to somebody, right? Call a friend. Send a note, get online, go to Facebook, check out our Facebook, check out our C.S. Lewis stories. There's a lot going on the Epiphany website, trying to create this web of connection, this weave of caring, as we call it. Anyway, we're in the Gospel of John, chapter 2, and we have a short little pericope here that we're going to look at, verse 23 through 25, just a couple of sentences. And see what we have happening here. So remember yesterday we talked about the body being the place, right? We talked about love, always a better option than anger, the need for patience, and how there's going to be a decentralized model once the temple falls, because each individual can have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Pretty nice. Here we go. When Jesus was in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, many believed in his name because they saw the signs that he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, would not entrust himself to them, because he knew all people and needed no one to testify about anyone, for he himself knew what was in everyone. So people start to believe in Jesus. They see him, they experience his extraordinary capacity to teach and to heal and whatnot. And they believe in his name. Now, what does that mean? Well, I think it probably means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But primarily what it means is that Jesus' name is synonymous with the Messiah. Now, what the Messiah means is certainly up for debate, and we see that all the way through the Gospel of John. Heck, we see it all the way through all of the synoptics. But they believe in his name. Do you know Jesus? Yes. Who is he? He is the Messiah, right? The Christ, the one coming into the world to save us. Well, save us from what? Save us from Rome would be the short answer for most folks. But Jesus, it says, on his part, would not entrust himself to them, because he knew all people and needed no one to testify about anybody. So that's sort of an interesting idea. This idea that back in the day of Jesus, somebody's good word for somebody else was enough to justify or testify to them. So this is my buddy right here, Linda, and she's an extraordinary person, and I am testifying about her character, and I want you now to meet her or to work with her or to introduce her to your brother-in-law, I don't know. But whatever it is, people testified to one another. And that makes sense because people live in community. But Jesus uniquely could look at somebody and sum up the nature of their character. We see that he does that with Nathaniel. He does that with Andrew. He does that with all sorts of people. He sees them and he knows them. Now this is an important point. And because he's saying people, you and I, have this testimonial relationship based on what we know and experience of another person. But Jesus and God, again, we really learn about the cosmic nature of Jesus Christ as the second person of the Holy Trinity in the Gospel of John. And this is just one more little clue that Jesus is God, that Jesus is part of the Trinitarian nature of God. Because God and Jesus here can see into our hearts. God and Jesus can see the character of individuals. He knows who we are, right? He looks inside and sees who we are. He sees our freedom to choose and the decisions we make not to choose to live the God life that God so hopes we live. So as we're reading through the Gospel of John, look for those little clues about how Jesus is the second person of the Trinity. We see it in the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh, right? The Word was here, and all things came into being through it. We see it just a little bit later when John testifies of him and cries out, "This is the one of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks ahead of me because he was before me." We have that sense. And now we have over here in chapter 2, right at the end, this reality that Jesus can see into the heart of every individual person. He doesn't mess with it. He doesn't change it. He doesn't manipulate it, because God never does that, because that would be to deny our freedom. But he sees into our hearts. Right? And we do too, if we spend the time. Right? We see into our own hearts through self-examination, through prayer, through spiritual friendships, through confession, through having a spiritual director. These are through Lectio Divina. These are ways we look into our own hearts, because we want to see what Jesus sees. And oftentimes we fool ourselves about what's in our heart. I mean, I've hardly ever met a person who says their heart isn't good or their heart's not in the right place. And that's true. That's been my experience. But sometimes it's a little dusty. Or there's some dark corners or some, gunk that needs to be sort of shaved off because it's collected there. Sort of like that gunk that gets on the end of my shaving cream, right? Occasionally I have to take it off, otherwise the shaving cream doesn't come off. Same kind of thing. So I invite you in this time when you're staying in your house to consider your heart, what Jesus sees when he sees into your heart, and wonder if you too see the same thing, and maybe get into that heart and think about how it can be more open and righteous and clear and in line with God's hopes for you. It's possible for all of us, right? It's actually my hope for you. So blessings. Be safe, stay clean. Know that I'm praying for you and that I love you, and peace upon your soul.